After graduation, free-spirited college girl abandons loyal boyfriend to hike 2,200 miles on the Appalachian Trail and finds freedom in more ways than one. Guys, welcome back to Alpha Talk. Today, I'm diving into an article titled 500 Miles and a Failed Relationship. Big shout out to MLT for sending me this story. Guys, this entire article is written from a woman's perspective, offering her take on what happened. Basically, after college, when she and her boyfriend graduated, coronavirus hit, the world shut down, and she decided she was going to hike the Appalachian Trail. Now, her boyfriend, he was out of college, trying to settle down, get a good job, get a house, grow up, right? But she's a free spirit, as you'll see. She decides that going on this hike is more important than him, and she ends the relationship. That's it. This entire story is from her perspective, what she was thinking, feeling, all of that. Now, let me be clear. I don't give a crap what she thinks or feels, but I'm telling this story to show you guys examples of what can happen. To help you understand a few things about relationships. One of the first things I've learned, guys, is that a lot of times when women are done with a guy in a relationship, they're done. And what I mean by that is, they've checked out long before they actually part ways. A lot of guys get confused when their girl breaks up with them and she immediately moves on to another guy, or leaves the state or city. It's like her feelings went off like a light switch, and they're completely baffled. That's because a lot of women will stay until there's absolutely nothing left. This, in my opinion, is a situation like this. She was already done with the guy. I believe the trail might have been something she always wanted to do, but it was really her way of escaping and moving on. For a lot of guys who've experienced that, it's happened to me when I was younger, and I just couldn't grasp it. How could she move on so quickly? This is why. They check out long before the relationship is over. Another lesson from this story, you're going to see she is definitely a free spirit. I joke around a bit when I say that about women, because there are always different things going on. She's a free spirit, likes to go to Fish concerts. What does that say? Went to the University of Vermont. I know some guys who went to UVM, good guys. But it's definitely a different culture up there, so to speak. They're free spirits, so you've got the free spirit girl and the serious guy. While opposites attract, sometimes it's a bit too much. In my opinion, you've got to watch out for those free spirit women. They can cause you all kinds of headaches. And lastly, the important thing about this story is this. If any of you guys have ever been dumped, and it hurt, and it really sucked at the time, sometimes you look back and realize it was the best thing that ever could have happened. Because staying with her was just going to make you crazy and cause all kinds of headaches. This is clearly a situation where this guy was in a completely different place in terms of maturity and goals than her. In the end, it's doing him a favor. So guys, I'm going to go through this. You're going to see the kind of stuff that goes on in a woman's head, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Again, the title is 500 Miles and a Failed Relationship. Starts reading the article excerpts with your commentary interspersed. It's me or the trail. I can still hear the scratchy voice barely coming through my phone. I raced along a ridgeline in the Smoky Mountain National Park as the wind whipped freezing rain into my face and blew the cell service away. But despite the poor reception, I could hear the sorrow in Caleb's voice. The rain couldn't drown out his pleading tone. It's me or the trail. And after 3 years, how could it not be him? He sounded broken. And does she really care? No. They were together for 3 years. They got a dog together. Do you think she cares about him? Or the dog? No. In that moment, though, the brokenness only made me angry. How could he not understand? He would never be over the trail. It would never be him or the trail. His ultimatum was an impossible one. I was literally slogging through the wind and rain to continue my hike. I couldn't even fathom getting off the trail, especially not when he was continuously reminding me of how I deserved no forgiveness.
Back to the commentary, guys. This is what I'm talking about.
How basically, she was done. She was done with this relationship. 3 years they were together. They had a dog together. I think this guy kind of supported her in some ways, Basically, she was done, and this was her way of getting out of it. By going on the trail and obviously hooking up with some other dude. It was a guaranteed way, and I guarantee she knew that. She probably did it consciously or even subconsciously on purpose to seal the deal of ending the relationship because obviously the guy continues reading article excerpts and providing commentary throughout. I cheated on him after only 3 weeks on the trail. I cheated on him after assuring him for months that I would never meet another person on the trail. See guys, this is an example of what I'm talking about. She was done. She was done with this relationship. 3 years they were together, they had a dog together. I think this guy kind of supported her in some ways, Basically, she was done, and this was her way of getting out of it. By going on the trail and obviously hooking up with some other dude. It was a guaranteed way. And I guarantee she knew that. She probably did it consciously, or even subconsciously, on purpose, to seal the deal of ending the relationship because obviously, the G guy. See, I cheated on him on the night I wrote my previous blog post about how lucky I was to be in such an amazing relationship, about how lucky I was to have such a strong support network back home. So she was keeping a blog on her journey on the trail, and why? After writing this about how great he was, great relationship, just cheated on him. Okay? This is sabotage. Does this sound like someone you want to be in a relationship with? Does this sound like if you're a guy trying to move up in the world and actually be an adult and live like an adult, does this sound like something you want to have on your journey as your girlfriend? Or God forbid, your wife? Hell no. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good thing, but I would say, looking in, if you look at the big picture, this is good for the guy because he can move the hell on, but it shows her level of care and maturity towards him. I blindsided him. I blindsided myself too, but I think I knew it was over before I even left. See, I'm a codependent person. Continues reading from the article and providing commentary. Ding, ding, ding. I've always had a few people in my life whom I have relied on. Caleb was one of those people. We fell in love quickly and passionately after meeting in a basement at a party that neither of us wanted to be at. We adopted a dog together after barely 2 years of knowing each other. I told him I wanted to get married while I was feeling swirly at a fish show on New Year's Eve. I loved him with my entire soul. I wouldn't trust anything anybody would say to me if they are obviously on something, let alone at a fish concert. Okay? For those of you who don't know what Phish is, P-H-I-S-H, look it up. You'll see what kind of band that is. It says everything. I knew people in the late 90s that were all into Phish, and they were definitely interesting folk that like to wear T-tie Diane, smoke certain things and all that. But this describes who she is. You can't get serious with somebody like that. But this guy was young. He doesn't know any better. But we're in a college relationship. College kept us together because we're in the same place and on the same track in life. When we graduated, things started to change. Caleb knew what he wanted, a job in the solo industry, a nice apartment in a real city, and stability. And he was ready to seek out that white picket fence. And me, well, I had no idea what I wanted. Commentary, so Caleb, the boyfriend, is actually acting like an adult. Sounds like, in a way, he's on his purpose. He wants to obviously do well for himself, get a good job, save money, have nice things. Meanwhile, she wants to still hold the free-spirited lifestyle. I don't know what I want to do, and you're going to see. And a lot of people, when they graduate college and they're kind of like this, they just say, hey, I'll go on to more college. I'll go on to a graduate degree. And then hope later on that taxpayers get to pay for their college because, so God forbid, they have to pay for their own college. That's what we're dealing with right now in the world. They're debating on trying to pay off portions of people's student loans, even though they signed on the dotted line for that. I shouldn't have to pay for so many student loans. I know I'm jumping into politics here, but I get a feel for my audience here that you probably think the same way as I do. Back to the story. And me, well, I had no idea what I wanted. I still don't. I had half-formed ideas about getting a short-term job and then going to grad school, and then hoping taxpayers will pay for that later on down the road. But I didn't feel crazy passionate about any of those things. It was just a shadowy idea that I needed to do something productive. When COVID hit, it gave me a lot of time to reflect on myself and my goals. Suddenly, it was an opportune time to start saving money for the Appalachian Trail. So instead of saving money for something practical, she's going to do it so she can go on a hike and ditch her boyfriend. Caleb was resistant to the idea from the beginning. I guess maybe he sensed that the trail would change something between us, despite my reassurances that our relationship was strong enough to withstand a 6-month hiatus. But it wasn't. Well, as I say more times than I can count, always pay attention to what people do, not what they say, especially with women. Commentary. So she's reassuring him, and everything's okay, everything's cool, it won't split us up. But he can tell. He obviously knows her by her actions. That's not the case. That's another lesson, guys. If you haven't heard me say in other videos, always pay attention to people's actions, not their words. Continues reading from the article and providing commentary. A trail full of changes coming onto the trail, I realized how much I was using Caleb as a crutch. I was so lucky to be in a loving relationship, but I was also limiting myself because of it. I blocked out the voices telling MME. I bet she hears V voices. The voices telling me that I wasn't entirely happy in my relationship, because it was easier than admitting that we were together because of comfort. Pre-trail, without Caleb, I thought I would drown. My life was so wrapped up in his. We lived together with our dog child. We had the same interests and the same friends. To break up would mean to start anew, and to think that. That felt similar to looking at a huge mountain looming on the horizon. I couldn't even imagine how I would start over. Like I said here, she said flat out that she was together with him for comfort and all that. The trail is teaching me that I could be giving up too much of my freedom by settling down, and he has really proved that I am not ready for it. What I did to him was selfish and wrong, but I think it was a necessary teaching moment for me. Well, at the end of the day, if she wasn't ready for him, she wasn't right for him and all that. It just sucks for him. But again, guys, these are important lessons, nonetheless. Continues reading and providing commentary. Okay, I personally think that probably when she comes back from her hike and realizes that she's broke and has nothing else, she's going to go back to him for stability, but maybe I'll find that out down the road, trying to process it all. Honestly, the weirdest thing has been the lack of emotion regarding the entire breakup on my part. I've always been a ball of Roman candle emotions. Well, there's a big surprise. Explosive and impulsive, I feel everything always. But out here, I think the constant walking is actually sucking all my emotional energy away from me. No. She simply checked out of the relationship the second she started thinking about going on the 6-month trek on the Appalachian Trail and ditching her boyfriend and that life. Already, she was done, okay? That she may not even realize it, but she was done, okay? And that's why she's not feeling any emotions or anything, because she doesn't care because she checked out a long time ago. I'm just really trying to make that point with this video, guys, so you understand. This girl, whoever breaks up with you and you think that she just moved on so easily, never cared. She checked out a long time ago. I barely processed the passing of a 3-year-long relationship. Again, a relationship where we lived together for 2 years and owned a dog. I keep waiting for the weight of it to hit me, and it just isn't. I know that I wish it hadn't ended in the way it did. It makes my heart feel like it's filling up with concrete to think of how much I hurt him. I hate to think of him wandering the city where he was supposed to make. Into our home, all alone. But that's the extent of it. I feel like I'm in the eye of a hurricane, the storm is swirling around me, and I'm just placidly meandering down a 2,200-mile trail. I wonder if the reality bell will slam me when I summit Katahdin. I can't even remember. I think it's some mountain or something like that she's trying to say here. But yeah, now she's watering it, it's just really gonna hit me later on down the road. Again, I think she's going to leave the trail and say, oh, I'm broke, so she's going to go to this guy. It's funny what makes me think of him, though. There are the normal things, like a song we enjoyed together, or familiar food, but then there are the other, more abstract things. I shared a twin bed at the Nature's in Hostile with the guy I'm currently seeing, and couldn't stop thinking about Caleb. So she's already on to some other dude. And obviously seeing some other guy on the trail that didn't take long. Again, a lot of women, not only will they move on completely, but they'll also find another dude quickly, to deal with those feelings of regret or feeling bad or anything like that, to make it easier. Again, guys, this is why they can move on so quickly, because they also don't want to deal with the emotions of, maybe I was acting like a jerk, maybe I wronged the guy, so I'll just find a new guy, and I won't have to worry about those and deal with those emotions, and then usually that guy breaks up with her. And then they're back to the original guy they dumped, down the road. I was hit by such a strong nostalgia of cramming myself into the uncomfortable dorm beds at UVM our sophomore year at college. It was almost overwhelming. UVM is the University of Vermont, and, like I said in the beginning, when I read this and she said she was from the University of Vermont, that said a lot to me because, again, I've known guys that went to UVM. They're cool guys, but they're definitely certain stereotypes that go along with UVM type of people. Anybody that went to University of Vermont or is from Burlington, Vermont, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. I'm in New England, I'm in Massachusetts, so Vermont's not that far away. It was also probably the saddest I've ever felt in regards to the entire ordeal. Honestly, I'm having a hard time ending this blog because it feels so personal. I've been putting this post off over and over again because the idea of publishing something like this has been extremely overwhelming. But it's also been so much of my experience on this trail. I feel like it'd be wrong to hold it back. The reality of through hiking is that, while it is amazing and often feels otherworldly, it still affects you in real life. And I'm trying to remember that I have a real life to go back to when this adventure ends. And it's hard because I'm sort of staring into a big black hole, but life will go on. So I didn't do this story to talk about her feelings and emotions and all that. I could care less. But the point is, I'm doing this as an example, like I said in the beginning and multiple times, to show you guys what's going on. What, to some degree, is going on in a woman's head and her feelings. And how, basically, she'll check out long before the relationship there's actual breakup. So if you guys ever wondered about that, now you know. And this is a perfect example, guys, how sometimes one breaks up with you and you're torn to pieces. I feel like it's all over with, and how can I go on? You know what? And sometimes it's actually a good thing, because she did you a favor. Because if you are extreme opposite than her, okay, on the opposite track, but you know what I mean here, especially in terms of life goals and things like that, you know it's better that she ended it with you, and you can move on and then focus on you. And if you do relationships later down the future, you meet someone that you're aligned with in terms of life goals, because those two. And this story here couldn't be any more different. This guy's growing up, he's being a man, he obviously is taking care of business, and she's still being a free spirit kid. And given the way she writes the story and things like that, that tells me that's really her personality, and she'll probably be that way her whole life. So her with a guy like this, it would just make him absolutely crazy. And it wouldn't work with her either. So, best part ways. But again, just an example, guys, to show you these things. So, alright guys, quick story, but that was a good one to share. So be sure to comment down below, let me know what you think about this. Let me know, guys, if you ever experienced something like this, where a girl up and dumped you like that, you had no idea what happened. How could she just like that not care? How could she move on so quickly, or move on to another guy? Let me know about that. Let me know how it worked out. And let me know about situations where a girl broke up with you, but when you cooled off and you moved on, you realized, you know what? It's the best thing ever happened, because she was a train wreck, total opposite. These are good things to share because guys do read these comments from all over the world. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe.